Hello, Poppet. Welcome to the Art Club Online. Michelle here. Today we are going to be making some gifts and we're going to learn how to sew. Now, I realize that quite a few people these days don't sew by hand, but it's actually super easy to do. Everything that I'm wearing, everything that you're wearing, most likely, has sewing in it. And if you learn how to sew, I'm going to teach you the most simple basics of it, then you can make actual clothing. That's a little more complicated than what we're going to do, but if you understand the concept, then you can put fabric together and really make cool things. And I think sewing something would be an actually good homemade gift. We like homemade gifts around here because they not only save money, but they also make the person who you're giving the gift to feel really special. And when I get something somebody made for me, I'm like, wow, like you actually made this for me, and it makes me feel really great. So let's try to sew. So the things you're gonna need to sew are a needle, some thread, some fabric, and a pair of scissors. Okay guys, so here I am at my workstation and I got some fabric. This fabric is a little bit stretchy and it's really smooth, but you can use any kind of fabric pretty much. Okay, so the most important thing is that you have 2 layers when you want to sew something together, right? Just like imagine if these were 2 pieces of paper. If you wanted to glue them together, well, you need 2 layers to do that. So I have this piece of fabric and I'm gonna make a little bag out of this. So what we want to do first, actually I'm gonna do it this way. This is folded in half. See the little crease at the bottom? And that's good because that means this part is already together, so we won't need to sew along the bottom. So I want to just make a square, one of those little square drawstring bags, you know, kind of gonna look like that at the end. So I've got to make a perfect shape. So I'm gonna use this. Well, it's not a square, but it's gonna work. Okay, I'm gonna trace one side, but you have to leave a bit of space on the edge, okay? Unless you want the bag to be a lot smaller than this, which would also be perfectly fine. So I have a pencil and I'm just gonna make a line on this side. As straight as I can using the box as the guide, and then across the top I'm gonna go up a little bit higher. Now it doesn't have to be perfectly artistic, it's just a line so you know how to cut. I have these kind of cool scissors. Look at that. Do you know what these do? These are called pinking shears and they cut in a zigzag, which is great for sewing because then the edges won't fray, which means like sort of when all the threads come out and like the fabric starts ripping apart. This sort of a cut keeps that from happening. So actually I'm gonna do the other side too. Although I don't think this is the type of fabric that would fray. This is like futuristic fabric or something. Ugh. Wow, okay. I love cutting paper with these, but you're not really supposed to cut paper with fabric scissors because it makes them dull. Okay, did I cut that straight? Ish. Okay. So let's get rid of the rest of this fabric because all we need is this little guy. Okay, so sewing. I'm gonna mark on this fabric to make it easy for you guys, but you don't have to do this unless you think it will help you a lot. Okay, I'm gonna zoom in. Now let's say that this was a flowery pattern, or it was patterned like this is. So when you fold it for sewing, you have to make sure that the nice side of the fabric is on the inside. So let me just take a look here. These sides are identical, so this fabric doesn't matter. But if this was all patterned, I would want the pattern to go on the inside. So what you see when it's folded over is the ugly side of the fabric, okay? The inside. It's inside out right now. So for sewing, I'll zoom back out. We're going to sew from here all the way down to here and stop. Then we're going to sew from here all the way down here and stop. And when you sew, you want to sew not right on the edge. You want to sew in a little bit, just in case your fabric does fray a bit. Your bag won't have a hole in it, or your shirt, or your whatever you're making. So I made my line for sewing, and I'm gonna do something extra. And this is the part you don't really have to do, but I'm going to, I hope this focus is right. Maybe I should switch to manual focus for now. Okay, so I'm gonna put some lines where I'm gonna put stitches in, okay? And you wanna make the stitches as close together as possible without sewing over top of the thread again. This is all gonna make sense, don't worry, don't be overwhelmed. It's really not as hard as it seems. I'm making more dots. And I used to do this when I was teaching my boys to sew when they were little. I did this for them so that they would know where to put the needle. But you don't have to do that. It's just, it might help you when you're starting out. All right, you're gonna need a needle. I need a needle. Here's one. Now be careful that you do not stick it in your skin. I got a bright color of fabric, but if you want to sew something that's white, you should probably choose white thread. Choose the same color thread as close as you can to the thing that you're sewing, and then it will look more professional. I chose a bright one so that you can see exactly what I'm doing. Okay. What I just did, I wasn't even thinking about because I've done this so many times. I just cut the end of the thread off. And why did I do that? I did that so that it will go into the needle very easily. So cut a really nice fresh end of the thread. And then take your needle. Can I zoom in any more? No, okay. I'm gonna get as close as I can here to you. There's a tiny hole inside the needle. Come on, focus camera. I don't know if you could see that. There's a hole there, and that's called the eye of the needle. So you're gonna stick the thread, oh there, we can see it better. You're gonna stick the thread right through the eye. Ow, that sounds painful. Come on, little thread. Do it for the video. Now, if it's not going in, you can wet the thread a little bit. So I'm just gonna put it in my mouth. Not like super wet. There we go. Okay, that works better. Can you see that it just went through? And then, once you put it through, you grab that thread. And if you need help with this part, no problem. You can ask an adult to help you or someone around. Hopefully someone could help you out. If I was there, I would totally do it for you, but okay. So the thread, we have 2 pieces of thread, and that's good. We want 2 pieces of thread, but we want to make sure that the thread is longer than this edge that we're gonna sew. I'm gonna zoom out. So this thread, I control how long or how short I make it. Got the 2 pieces, and I'm making it extra long so that I have extra. And then you want to make both pieces the same length. So I'm going to cut this to be the same length. Now this is probably the most complicated part about sewing. Once you get this part done, then the sewing part is extra easy. So to sew with this thread, you have to tie a little knot in the end of it. So I do this, I wrap it around my fingers like that, and then I just tuck it inside the loop and then pull, and I push the loop up so that it goes over top of the other loop. The other knot, sorry. This takes practice and I'm pretty used to doing it. But you just keep tying knots until it's a big fat knot. Then the thread will not come out when you're sewing. All right, so we're gonna start right here. The basics of sewing, here we go. This is how it works, all right? Make sure you have your 2 pieces stuck together. Now you're gonna very carefully take the needle and push it right into, actually, I want to start really close to the top. Push it through and pull it slowly all the way to the knot. See? The knot stopped it. Then we just came up through. We're gonna go down through. So I'm gonna go down here, and then on the next stitch I'll use that dot. So down through, don't poke your finger on the other side. Push it through, and then pull it all the way. Oh, if it gets stuck like that, you know what you do? You just straighten it out. I should put some beeswax on this or something. Oh boy, this is tangling bad. Some tutorial, Michelle. All right. You're going to come up through. And then go down through on that dot. Don't poke your finger. Every time, pull it all the way. You can pull it a little bit at the end to make sure it's tight. There, did 2 stitches. Now we're gonna come back up right beside. Oops, we're gonna come back up right beside. Up through that dot. Pull it all the way. And go down through. I don't really like the stitches being this far apart. I would usually do it a lot closer together, but I just wanted to make sure that you guys could see all the stitches that I'm doing. Coming back up through, pull it all the way. And you need to just check and make sure that you have both pieces all the time, because if one of them folds underneath, then it's not gonna work. Your bag won't work. All right, so I will speed it up while I sew the rest of this line. Now here's a little trick that I'm doing that you don't have to do, but you can do it if you want. I'm going down through till it pokes out a bit. Then right away, I'm coming up through. See? So I just went down and up, and now I'm pulling it, and it saves me some time that way. This fabric doesn't like this thread very much, so. Okay, so we sewed all this and all this, and now this is where it starts to get really fun. You take the bag, you open it up, and you turn it what's gonna be right side in. And you keep pushing in and pushing in until you pushed out each corner. really well. Flatten it out. And there you go, a bag. So, it's not that difficult. If you have one of these kind of needles, this is called a darning needle. And I don't know if this is going to be easy or not. It's probably going to be pretty difficult, but in a different type of fabric, it probably wouldn't be as hard. So I'm going to take a piece of yarn and a darning needle. I'm going to cut the end of the yarn so that it's sharp enough to go through, but this eye of the needle is much bigger. Push that through. This time we only want one layer, so we don't need to pull this through very far. You just get a pretty long piece. Okay. Now, I'm going to sew again, but a lot bigger. So I'm gonna go in here and I'm gonna come out way over here. And see how I left like an inch from the top? It's because this is where the drawstring is gonna be. So I'm gonna make dots that are about an inch apart. And we're gonna go all the way around. We're not gonna go through both layers this time. Here. Okay, so this time you have to be careful to not go all the way through both pieces. I'm gonna go through. Oh, it is hard to get it through. Okay, because this fabric, probably not your fabric, but my fabric is so thick and stretchy, I have to make little cuts. So I'm gonna just make a tiny little cut on all of the dots I made. And if you want to do this, you can do this anyway with your fabric, but I can't guarantee that your fabric won't fray. And pieces of thread might be coming out all over the place, so. All right, so now that's much easier. So I'm going down and then up and then down and then up. Pull that through, but not all the way, because that's going to be the other end of our drawstring. So I'm going down through this one, up through this one, down through this one, up through this one, down through this one, and up through this one. There we go. So now this is easy. We take the end of the darning needle right off, put these two ends together, and it depends on you how long you want the drawstring to be. When my bag is closed, I think I want the drawstring to be about, actually when it's open I should measure, because that's when it's longer. Right about like that, I think. Now you just tie a knot. And you can also put a bead. I have lots of good beads here. I need a bead that will fit on the yarn. This one. Maybe I can push that through with this. I'll tie another knot. There. So now we have a cute little drawstring bag. So cute. You could put lots of stuff in here. Maybe even your phone. Aww, so cute. So let me know if you guys tried this and if it was doable. If you have any questions, you can ask them down below, and I will try to help you out as best I can from afar. And also subscribe to this channel if you want to see more videos like this one. Happy holidays and have fun making gifts.